Richards, right on the heels of Seaton as they go into the back straight. Seaton should have the power, if he can get past Waldrock, to pull away from Jimmy Richards as they go up the back straight. Seaton goes on the outside of Waldrock. Waldrock keeps the power on and is not going to let Seaton past easily, but Seaton outbreaks Waldrock, as it looks like Jimmy Richards is going to try and do. Through the S's, a beautiful piece of driving from Jimmy Richards to get past Waldrock, right in the middle of the S's.
Well, Richards certainly didn't want to be held up there, and if he'd backed off and slipped in behind Ian, he would have had no hope of keeping in touch with his opponent in front. And that, of course, Glenn Seaton.
Seaton comes out of the turn, followed by Jimmy Richards and Jeff Lamb. Glenn Seaton, 24 years of age, took the bit between his teeth at the start of this year and moved from Nissan to Ford Sierra, starting his own team. Very gutsy move for a young driver, of course supported by his father Bo Seaton, who's been around touring cars for many, many years. It's still a big gamble, a gamble that may come off in season 1990.
He had some pretty bad luck in this season. Had a very, very nasty accident at Lakeside, which did set the team back in their plans. So here is Glenn Seaton coming down, not the youngest driver in today's race. Mark Scaife is younger, one of the Nissan drivers. He's 22.
That's one of Glenn Seaton's ex-teammates, it's Mark Scaife.
Yes.
That's Chris Lambden, followed by Johnson. And
Jones has got through, up one spot, ahead of Andrew Madecki. Coming up to 05 corner, so there's Alan Jones. He's certainly...
Whoa, Alan Jones nearly lost it coming out of 05 corner, heads up the back straight. He's past Andrew Madecki and is now chasing Jimmy, take two, Dick Johnson.
You can see what happens when you don't get onto the straight all that quickly after you make a slight mistake. Andrew Madecki was able to make up quite some distance there and closes up on the back of Jones as they come down through the S's down to Dandenong Road. They wheel through that corner, they head to the Dunlop Bridge, and Andrew Madecki again ranges up on the back of Jones. So can he turn the tables and give the medicine back? A bit of smoke from the back of Jones's car then. I think a locked brake, nothing untoward.
Alan Jones coming up behind the Commodore of Chris Lambden. He's going to pass him down the main straight, sandwiched between two other cars, but gets past quite easily. Madecki not able to do the same thing. He's on the inside of Lambden. Lambden does the right thing, moves over and allows Andrew Madecki to get past.
Jones, of course, had the misfortune of blowing a turbo in the warm-up session this morning, and a lot of work for the crew to get this car to the starting grid.
See behind the wheel at times Alan Jones seems to be pushing the car on, waving his head around. Already nearly an hour into the race, the 05 500, and it's still blowing with similar velocity. That's Dick Johnson. Alan Jones right behind him.
We expect two stops for the most of the leading competitors in this race. So if they are going to divide that fairly evenly, as Jones goes into the pits, well, we are just about to say we would expect them about lap 55. Well, this is very much earlier for Alan Jones. And it looks like a driver change.
40 laps completed. Alan Jones sitting in fourth place, looking for third. Coming up behind Dick Johnson, goes into the pits as we see our race leader Peter Brock comfortably out in the lead by some 7.5 seconds. Peter perfect in 05, running in the 05 500 here at Sandown, doing it in his usual smooth professional manner. He's won this race 9 times in the past. He's trying to make it 10 today.
He's certainly putting on a splendid display at this point.
Peter Brock seems to have got this car going towards the latter part of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship and maybe hitting his peak at the right time of the season. Alan Jones has rejoined the track in 11th place, and there has been a driver change. It would be Denny Holm behind the wheel of that car now. What appeared to be a reasonably quick pit stop dropped from 4th back to 11th place. Which doesn't mean a great deal at this time of the race because all of the other cars have got to do the same thing. And that's Peter Brock, our race leader in the pits. A driver change, that's Brock getting out of the car.
Paul Radicic going in.
A New Zealand driver that's had some open wheel experience, Paul Radicic. A very, very good punter. Has been here to Sandown on several occasions in the past. So with 46 laps completed, our race leader Peter Brock in the pits, a reasonably quick pit stop, and Jeff Radicic out onto the track. Paul Radicic, I should say, rejoining the race in the 05 Mobil 1 Ford Sierra in 6th place.
This Radicic probably won't take long to get down to business.
That's our race leader, Tony Longhurst. His teammate, of course, has been into the pits.
That's Denny Holm on screen now, car number 20. The leader there is Longhurst in front of him. These two, since they joined one another when Denny Holm came out of the pits after his pit stop, taking over from Alan Jones, the two cars have stayed together quite consistently through there. They're pulling each other around the circuit. And just in the background you can see the red car of Dick Johnson, car number 17. He's in 2nd place as they stand. So there's Denny Holm driving in the car. He shares with Jones, but they are 1 lap down. There's Dick Johnson. He's in 2nd place. And you can see the gap there is about 3 or 4 seconds. 18th place for car number 18, appropriately. And Longhurst slowing, and Jones going through.
So it's just that Tony Longhurst would be pitting this time around as Denny Holm, his partner, has got ahead of him. Dick Johnson takes over the race lead, and we'll see almost Tony Longhurst. There he goes into pit lane. So Dick Johnson takes the race lead in the 05 500 with 49 laps now completed. Tony Longhurst, race leader for a few laps into pit road.
And let's see what sort of a stop this is. This will be a driver change. Longhurst will be getting out, and Neville Crichton will be getting in, another New Zealander. But there's the race leader, 17, behind Denny Holm, who's 1 lap behind him. Denny Holm in car 20, currently in 10th place, having had 1 stop in the 4th. So now we believe that Jim Richards is in 3rd place now, having got the skyline past Glenn Seaton. But of course there'll be a lot of shuffling of places now, Ian, as the pit stops come through.
That's our race leader, Dick Johnson, still to come into pit road for his driver change, fuel stop, etc., and not doing this so this time round either. One of the longest Sierras. It's most of the other leading Sierras have been in for their pit stop, but Dickie Johnson staying out on the track and leading the race with 55 laps completed.
Just put a lap on the number 7 Commodore. That's one of the team cars, this time driven by Neil Crompton. I don't think that car has been in yet for its stop, so that would still be Neil Crompton in 9th place. So they've progressed up quite well. And I think that I noticed in front of them the other team car, 16, in the factory cars. So Dick Johnson will be coming up to lap them also. Yes, there it is in front of that gaggle of cars down through the S's. Comes down to swallow up one of the Toyotas. Oops, and very wide. And has to make his way through the smoke screen from Peter Hudson's BMW 635 that's leaving rather a trail behind him. Dick wouldn't have been very appreciative of that. Oh.
Dick Johnson goes past the entrance to pit road once again.
Ranges up on two Commodores. One of them is Peter Hudson.
Dick Johnson up behind the Chris Lambden Burrow pair Commodore, having completed 57 laps now. Up the back straight. We're still waiting for Dick Johnson to make his scheduled pit stop. We're probably 1¼ hours into the race, 57 laps completed, 104 to go. Dick Johnson comes through the right-hander, heading towards pit road.
Yes. Yes, he's pulling to the inside. Lambden is going past him. This is the one, and Win Percy will have to go round Johnson. He can't really be caught behind, but Johnson is definitely slow. Yep, there he goes.
Dick Johnson into the pits for his scheduled pit stop with 57 laps completed, 104, just over 1¼ hours into the race.
And John Bowe, I'm sure, will take over. Indeed, there he is, ready to hop in to the seat. Puts in his little insert, because John has not only a different build to Dick Johnson, but he also has a completely different style of driving. He tends to hunch over the wheel a lot more. Nonetheless, an effective style of driving, though.
John Bowe's going to be one of the fastest touring car drivers in Australia without any shadow of a doubt. But as we saw Dick Johnson in some of those close-up shots earlier, laying back, just pushing the wheel round slowly, and as you say, John Bowe hunches more over the wheel. A very good pit stop from the leading Shell Ultra team. John Bowe out onto the track once again.
And there's Longhurst just going through. Now Longhurst has third place. Johnson, which is now of course Bowe, has fourth place. And those are the two cars you see on your screen right now.
Out in the lead, the Yokohama Kenwood Ford Sierra, number 6, still driven by Andrew Medicke, as it was right from the start of the race. He told us before the race that he thinks he's done his preparation that little bit better than he has in previous years, and let's hope that is correct, and we see Andrew there right at the end of the meeting.
Ian, we're trying to find out what's happened to Paul Radicic in the Peter Brock car. He's been missing from the charts, and I haven't spotted him in the pits, so ever since that little incident that he had when he ran wide out of NGK.
We'll certainly keep our eyes and ears open to see if the Brock car is still out on the track with Paul Radicic behind the wheel. We're watching the Kenwood Ford Sierra of Andrew Medicke, leading the 05 500 with 60 laps completed. Here he comes into the pits this time round, Andrew Medicke. In the number 6 car will be handing the drive over to Andrew Bagnall.
Yes, it's Charlie O'Brien actually who's taken over the second seat in this car, as fairly short time that he had to do so, but Andrew Bagnall not taking the seat.
Unlike the change we saw a minute ago, to be a matter of pushing the seat back to allow room for Charlie O'Brien to get behind the wheel.
Yes, Charlie would be about 6'4", and also,
even though that Andrew's not a short person, he's a lot slimmer than Charlie O'Brien.
Charlie would be about 15 stone, I would imagine.
So Jim Richards, our race leader, a Nissan Skyline out in the lead, being told to move over to the left-hand side to pass John Faulkner in the Team Toyota car.
The leading car and the leading Nissan Skyline. And into the pits. So that solves that. He certainly can't go for 90 laps on one tank.